So it's really high time you got to know her. Our speaker for tonight is a practicing psychoanalyst and clinical human sexologist in Manila. And she's based at the St. Luke's Medical Center, having obtained her medical degree from the University of the East, Ramon Magsaysay Memorial Medical Center. She holds an academic rank of professor of psychiatry. I understand you've retired, yeah, from teaching. Um, but I think you still teach psychiatry at the St. Luke's College of Medicine. And she finished her residency in general adult psychiatry at the University of Missouri, USA, and holds fellowships in child psychiatry from Washington University School of Medicine, USA. Pediatric psychiatry and consultation liaison psychiatry from the Baylor College of Medicine in the US. And while training in consultation liaison psychiatry, she spent 720 hours at the MD Anderson Medical Center at the Houston, Texas, interviewing and doing psychological interventions with terminally ill patients. And she has taken courses and advanced training in hypnotherapy, family therapy, geriatric psychiatry, and human sexuality. And she has become a veteran in the lecture circuit and has written numerous essays and papers on the dynamics of behavior from birth to death, and has co-authored a book called Midnight Colors, showcasing sex problems in the Philippine setting. Now, Dr. Bueno has spent time with Dr. William Masters. Is this the Masters from Masters and Johnson at the Washington University in his clinical sex researches. And as a diplomate of the Philippine Board of Pain Medicine, she also specializes in sexual pain disorders. So to date, she has had more than 200 speaking engagements in various conventions, and she now heads the first ever human sexuality clinic in the Philippines. So you know where to go if you're having sexual problems. So with much pride, can you please help me welcome Dr. Agnes C. Bueno. You can unmute yourself, Dr. Bueno. You're still muted. You're still muted, Doctora. Mike, can you unmute Doctora Bueno? There you go. Hi, Doctora.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
That was quite a long introduction, but now that we're on pandemic time, I cannot see anyone at my clinic.
Oh, online
Yes.
lang po.
Online lang talaga. Kasi syempre at risk tayo no? Matanda na
Although most of the time, Doctora, you do not really physical examinations, diba? It's mostly psychological consult.
Oh yes, but it's really better to be doing it face to face. But I've just started online consultation though.
Okay, so there you go.
Do we contact you, Doctora, if we wanna consult?
Well, you can call St. Luke's and they'll forward you to my secretary.
All
Yeah.
right, and then we schedule for a meeting, no?
Yes, I've been on hibernation since lockdown. So I'm glad to be connected somehow.
Okay. Well, I understand for tonight, Doctora, you prefer a Q&A type of discussion, right?
Well, it's just been a few days notice, I think. So
yes.
I guess, and it's really more interesting if it's candid and not didactic.
All right. So to
Right.
start everything off, I just want to start with the first general question. Are people sexually happier now in the pandemic season or more aburrido?
More
If they're
aburrido.
angrier, more aburrido.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it depends on the quality of the relationship, right? Happy if you are still so enamored with your partner, and aburrido if you're really, fed up with him or
Not
her.
really aburrido.
But Doctora, as an obstetrician, I can attest that it has been more, couples have been more active because we've had a boom of pregnancies during this pandemic. Pati mga infertile patients ko nagkabuntisan. Kasi,
I think kasi
Ang
pag aburrido
ano-
sila, they still the more
Hindi, nawala
aburrido you
yung-
are, you vent it there eh.
Parang
Nagkaroon-
parang outlet.
yeah.
Parang
Nagkaroon
outlet.
sila ng panahon.
Pero being fertile and being able to produce babies does not necessarily get directly connected with happiness in sex or sexual pleasure.
Sabagay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I've had so many patients, wives, women, who really do not know how to be pleasured, and they just go through the sexual intercourse without knowing sometimes what orgasm is all about.
Ayun, paano nyo sila na-advise, Doktora? Kasi, halimbawa, somebody comes to you, Doktora, I've never had an orgasm in my life. Ano bang kailangan gawin ko? Anong asawa ko para ma-experience ito? What do you advise them?
Yun na nga ang problema, kasi yung mga lalaki, hindi naman nila alam yung pleasure spot mo. Kasi iba-iba yon. Contrary to what Dr. Grafenberg has professed, right? Everybody started to think that it's just one area in the vagina or the vulva. But you need your mind and your brain to be desirous, not your vagina or your vulva. And of course, a lot of women vary on that location. That's why the woman herself must know where it is and teaches or tells her husband or her sexual partner where it is.
Tama. At kailangan alam niya yung sarili niya para maituro niya sa asawa niya kung paano.
Oo, kasi hindi naman pare-pareho yan eh. Iba-iba sa ibang babae, iba-ibang lugar ng kanilang sexual pleasure spot.
Tama.
So, Doctora, how will they give the hint to the partner?
I don't think hinting is okay for married people. You just show it where it is and demonstrate and illustrate,
Diretsahan na.
the guys really are so ignorant about it. You wouldn't believe it, They really
You
wouldn't
think
know.
so? They're ignorant in this era?
Yes, they are very ignorant. If you just read through the conversations of men, they're always in a quandary as to what to do. You see?
Yeah, interesting, Doktora, yung sinabi niyo in the past, na the men they don't realize that that penile penetration is not to the woman as it is to the man. Yung intercourse, no? I mean, the men get a lot more sensation out of it than the woman. The woman
Yes.
needs, di ba, clitoral
Yes.
stimulation.
Yes, because the vagina does not have too many nerve endings. As a matter of fact, it's in the vulva. So the real sexual organ of the female is the vulva, not the vagina.
So ano dapat gawin ng lalaki? Anong ina-advise niyong dapat gawin ng lalaki?
Yung lalaki kasi, kung desirous siya, he has a lot of testosterone, I should presume he has. Kasi kung mababa ang kanyang testosterone, eh wala talaga yung desire, eh hindi talaga siya makaka-perform, di ba? So,
Sure.
kung ano na lang ang ginagawa nila para, so they should know how to pleasure their woman, and their woman is a specific, unique woman, and she might not have the same sexual spot from the other women in his life. So I guess he has to find out what specific area or what turns the woman on. Kasi, of course, the greatest sexual organ is still the mind.
The brain.
Everybody's forgetting that.
That's true. So do
I
you
wish we
encourage
can
women-
order testosterone in Lazada, no?
Yeah, actually you can.
Diba?
But what is the average, what is among your patients, do you have the statistics on what's the average number of times couples have sex? To be considered normal or ano ba yung normal?
That's the problem with establishing normalcy. It's always through numbers, statistics, surveys, etc. I think the most accurate would be the clinical experience or the clinical evaluation of a psychotherapist, because she deals with the mind, where desire, which is the first step in sexual stimulation, resides. It is in the mind, so it cannot be quantified by numbers. So if you're going to ask me about my clinical experience about it, it's probably more accurate than statistics, because statistics can be rigged. You cannot really see it, like that particular G spot, quote unquote, G spot that they've been talking about has been so elusive because it differs from woman to woman. It can be situated on her neck. It can be situated on her toes, on her big toe, etc., etc. So if the man or the woman is ignorant, both of them are ignorant about it, they'll just go through the process of sexual intercourse and never have really connected sexually.
Nako. O paano na lang yung mga...
Kaya ang daming unhappy marriages actually, kasi my sexuality clinic, I've designed it for women, and there are so many women who are unhappy because they're just actually being used by the men, and because women are so into feelings, it's enough that they give some kind of satisfaction to the man, but never really know how they actually would be pleasured. So that's why it's such a sad affair, because women sometimes have already delivered 3 kids or 5 kids, and they still don't know what orgasm is all about. So it's like they're being short-circuited. It's as if it's not a fair deal. So they go through the motions of childbirth and are ignorant of being at least pleasured by the husband.
So
That's
do
the
you
saddest
encourage...
thing.
Yeah, di ba? Do
My
you
God.
encourage the woman to that she must masturbate in order to know what her pleasure zones are? Kasi how else would she know?
If she doesn't masturbate, there's no way she can, or, I don't like the term masturbation. I feel it's better to say it like it's a self-exploration, okay? Because the term masturbation connotes some kind of sinful kind of entity. So everybody gets confused around that terminology. So yes, the woman has to know herself. She has to explore herself. before she can teach her man how to pleasure her, because the man will never know where it is. That's why the men, if you read through, again, as I say, groups and conversations of men, they are always in a quandary how to do cunnilingus and don't know what they're supposed to be looking for, and the woman expects them to know where it is. So it's some kind of a silly kind of dance, wherein you're not dancing the rumba, but you're dancing some kind of something that would not be pleasurable at all. See?
Can I say something, Doctora? Maybe people, men in particular, are getting the information from wrong sources. Of course, I refer to pornography.
Precisely.
Instead of getting it from people like you, men
Precisely.
like me, we'd rather porno. I think that's the problem.
Yes.
The wrong source of information.
Yes, of course. If you are a pornographile, pornographile, of course that's for show. You know, pornography is for show. So they splice it to make it longer. They get the well-endowed men as actors. So the regular guys feel basically insecure about their own sizes, about their own propensity or whatever it is that they want. It's all farce. The best teacher is still your partner, not pornography. Pornography will just create some kind of insanity in men, is because they're always forever insecure about their size. So the men most of the time come, sometimes ask me if they are adequate enough in size, not realizing that it's not really the size, although of course women don't want an infantile size, of course, right? So as long as you are more or less, okay, average, no? Which is about, maybe 5 inches erect. So you don't measure a phallus when not erect, right? So it varies when they're flaccid. But then again, that's still not the point. The point is you have to make your woman desirous of you. So as long as you don't have an infantile size penis, you should be happy, right? Hello? Where's the one I'm talking with?
Nandiyan, nakikinig.
Yeah.
First call, ikaw.
Yes. So the best teacher or the best one to romance is still and find out is still your sexual
So how
partner.
come we don't have sex education in school?
I don't
think
know.
that's the biggest reason why people go to whatever sources that's available.
That's right. But then again, the
We're
problem
such a
is
very
the problem is how to train sex educators, because it's not, it's something that should be conducted by someone who really knows what she's talking about. Otherwise, it could be dangerous. So I always say that the best sexual education is still at home, not outside the home. Yes.
not in the classroom.
No.
So we must learn it
I
from
doubt
our
if that
parents.
would be effective at all.
You mean by
Pardon?
parents?
Yes. Parents who I presume are very sexy people and are more or less not, insane or disordered. So I should presume that the parents, before they have children, is that they are fully sexual persons in the right way. Hindi yung kinakastigate yung bata, mga 5, 6, 7, kinakastigate, tapos they create all kinds of neuroses because they castigate the child for for exploring himself. Tapos yung mga parents naman are not really sexually matured. So paano yon? Anak lang ng anak pero
Yes.
hindi naman alam yung role nila as parents when it comes to sex. Kasi di ba mas safe yon kaysa kung kani-kanino sila makakakuha ng sex education.
Sa barkada nga eh. Sa barkada lang at saka sa porn.
Oo nga. So hindi
I'm
tamang
talking from experience actually.
Of course, I guess I would say that 90% of men are ill-educated. Actually.
Maybe we should educate parents to educate their children. Baka ganun dapat ang approach, di ba?
Dapat bago magkaanak, alam nila yung role nila.
Oo. Paano?
So, it really all stems from upbringing and right development. So, mahirap ipagkatiwala ang sex education sa hindi talaga trained and hindi talaga alam ang sinasabi.
Okay,
Delikado.
Dr. That was just an opening salvo, no? So we have a lot of questions here. Baka maubusan tayo ng oras. What do you prefer to answer? The hot ones or the hotter ones?
The hotter ones.
Okay.
Of course, the hotter ones.
All right. I have a question here. It says here, my partner has been asking for us to try a threesome. Should I give in? I'm also curious.
It's not a matter of giving in. It's a matter of whether or not you're matured enough to play. Because that's playing.
Wouldn't there be like some sort of inferiority complex if the other person performs better than you? For instance, it's two girls and a boy.
Well, a manajatra necessarily connotes that the three are actually sexually attracted together, right? Otherwise, it won't work.
Okay.
Related to that, Doctor, is fantasy healthy?
Yes. There's no fun in sex without fantasy. Yes, it's
So you
very
encourage that.
important.
Yeah, you
That's why when men masturbate, I sometimes ask, what is their fantasy material while they're doing it? It's important to assess their mental health.
If you're doing it with your spouse and you're fantasizing about someone else, is that a red flag?
It's a red flag if your partner is not as sophisticated. Sometimes it's better to not share the fantasy if the partner cannot accept it as part and parcel of sexual activity.
All right. So, but if you're not going to share it, but you just continue that practice that you fantasize of someone else, is that bad?
Well, there comes a point wherein the one who's fantasizing is not fantasizing anymore, but is desirous of another woman. And therefore, he needs to seek psychotherapy or a therapist to help them figure it out. Otherwise, it becomes such an aberration in the relationship already. See, there's a difference between fantasizing and actually desiring the object of his thoughts. So there's a difference there. If you are just by yourself, engaging in self-exploration or self-satisfaction, it's always good to have a fantasy material. But if you're just going through the motions of it, then you're very, very sick and very, very lonesome.
Okay. What about Doctora? There's a question here. What about incorporating sex toys in a monogamous relationship? Let's just say Is that
It's
is there
okay
trouble?
it's okay as long as they both are into it. But sex toys are really not of necessity if the two are desirous of each other. Role playing is sometimes better than sex toys.
What if
In
the
what sense?
couple, what if the couple is already in their 50s or their 60s, have been married for uh, 30 years or so? Yeah, can they still keep their sex life exciting?
Well, a problem with people is they equate good being good by numbers. The quality of it should have morphed through time because they have been with each other for such a long time. So they really don't have to be so rabid about having sexual intercourse every day or twice a day, or being, almost like yogis, like they have to have certain positions, etc., etc. No, libido does not age. It's only the physicality that ages.
Do you prescribe hormone therapy for menopausal women? Because
Yes.
you do.
Yes. Testosterone is the hormone of desire for women also. Problem is there are no preparations available here
Meron na doktor
for
there
women.
are meron ng I've been taking testosterone for the last 21 years, no? And that's why I feel 18. But we do have compounding pharmacies, Apoteca, Rafa Health. Yeah, we have those two main ones.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's only the compounding pharmacies
compounding
that
lang.
I know can provide
Yeah,
testosterone for women.
right. Oo.
Yes.
What
But
about
also
for
for
men?
men. Also for men.
Oh,
10
okay.
times the dose for women.
Kasi
Meron.
ang men nag-andropause din.
When there's a
Tama.
question,
Bumaba.
what's the age of andropause for men?
It varies, di ba? Sometimes napakaaga, mga 30s pa lang.
Deficient.
Sometimes 60s. So, depende. Kaya, they need to consult, a doctor for those things.
Kasi sa babae,
Lifestyle.
basta it's the indicator is the cessation of the menses. But for the men, we don't know when is the period.
Yes, sometimes someone who's referred to me for the possibility of depression, ang nakikita ko, nire-refer back ko sa sa urologist kasi ang tingin ko andropause.
Oh.
Hindi depression. Kasi yung andropause at depression parang nag-overlap yun.
Actually, pag lumaki yung tiyan ng lalaki, that's a sign of drop in testosterone. And when that happens, nagiging masungit, no? So those are the telltale signs na bumagsak na yung testosterone.
So hindi lang pala dahil matakaw siya, talagang mababa na yung testosterone.
Hindi, kasi if you have excess fat, that converts to estrogen. So na-estrogenize itong mga lalaki, no? So kailangan lean for more testosterone.
So doktora, kapag daw nag-andropause na, syempre, that's why nowadays, di ba, Viagra, Cialis, ano daw ang number of hours that you have to take it as lead time before it takes effect?
Well, sa mga patients ko, mga 30 minutes.
Oh,
30 minutes.
Okay. All right. So if you're on a booty call, you have to take it 30 minutes before and then get ready.
Well, they really have to consult. Kasi yung ibang patients ko, maski nagkonsulta na sa cardiologist for clearance, yung blue vision ang nagiging problema.
What's the blue vision?
Bluish yung nakikita nila, lahat parang blue.
Oh, ang side effect.
Oo, parang ganun.
So,
Very
ang tingin
common
nila-
yun.
Oh, ang tingin nila sa partner nila blue.
Oo nga.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Oh, may tanong pa, additional question. So, sabi dito, this COVID lockdown, my husband asked for more sex from me. We have doubled our coupling acts and have tried every position imaginable. So how do we get more inspiration? Should I start watching porn?
You see, that's the problem, no? There's always this race to the finish line. Mas maganda pa rin yung sarili niyong pacing, and don't force it in, don't overexert it. Kasi nawawala din yung sexiness pag gano'n na nagiging routine. Routine kills sex. So, I don't know how to answer that question because sex is really so intertwined with the relationship, and of course, romance has still to be there. Otherwise, nagiging calisthenics na lang. Hindi na maganda, parang nakaka-turn off na. 'Di ba?
But as to the question of if they are going to watch porn, if they're going to watch porn together, is there something bad occasionally?
I don't recommend porn, by the way, because it does something to your psyche. It makes you. Most of my cases wherein the wife complains that the husband only wants porn, there's a very big break in their relationship. So if you say they watch porn together, well, as long as they incorporate within their lovemaking the watching of the porn, I don't see anything destructive about that. But porn itself can destroy you because it does something to your mind.
Doctor, what's the oldest age of couples that you know were still enjoying sex?
75, 80.
Wow. Even the woman is that age, ah?
Ay, mas pa nga yung woman grabe. Oo. So sex is really in the mind. Kung yung mga tools na lang kasi ang nag-age, tools meaning the body, but the mind is still hot, even if you're 80.
Right.
So bahala ka na, doktora, kung paano mo i-maintain yung tools ng mga patients mo. Bahala na rin yung mga doktor ng
lalaki, urology.
Oo. Ako naman nandyan lang sa, sa itaas peripherally, yung mga medyo hindi na talaga happy, and they are honest to accept it. Kasi ang kadalasan, denial, magsisimptoma ng iba, tapos pag nakapunta na sa akin, yun pala ang core of the problem is they're so unhappy sexually.
So do you ever advise them to separate?
Well, you see, before I reached that point, I would have had witnessed the destruction of the self. It's not
Basta
just
may violence na.
Well, still, that has to be investigated by me first, because sometimes they are unaware of the triggers of violence in the relationship. So it takes me a long while to say, I think you'd better, leave it, separate, or get a break or something to that effect, because it's already really toxic and destructive.
How about premarital sex? Do you think that people should live in before they marry? Because in some countries it's the norm, huh? Because they need to find out first if they're compatible, living together before they get married. Do you think that's a wise thing to do?
It's not a matter of whether it should be or shouldn't be. I really think it depends on the maturity of the partners. Now, if you ask me, would there be a way out if, for example, a woman or a man, meaning a man, discovers after marriage that his wife has no vagina? Well, see, those things can happen. So you may want to think about that. Or the lawyers or the lawmakers should be thinking about those things. But if you ask me if there should be divorce, yes, of course, I would say there has to be, because that's the only humane thing out sometimes. See? As to premarital sex, well, it's very risky not to know what you're buying.
Exactly. There's a question here, Doctora. It says here, my boyfriend and I are both in our 30s with stable jobs. We plan to marry in a year or two, and we have started planning. So we have been together for 3 years, and in all those years, he has never asked me to have sex with him. The most we do is heavy kissing. Are there red flags here?
Yes, there are red flags because most of the patients who come to me have been married maybe 3 years but have never had sex. Yun pala, phobic yung lalaki sa vagina. So, hindi talaga makakonsummate ng marriage.
Oh, so that's why the guy did not have a desire even at the onset.
Oo. So that's a problem for the ones who make the laws of the land. Kasi parang dito sa atin, walang pintuan para makalabas sa mga ganong sitwasyon eh. O sasabihin, non-disclosure or mga kung ano-anong legalist na terminologies. Pero hindi talaga nahihirapan pa ang mga tao. By the time they come to me, they are so depressed. They're so miserable. Nakakaawa na kung minsan. Kasi hindi sila marunong talagang, hindi nila alam ang coitus or some men are phobic of the vagina. And some women are really, really, really fearful to be penetrated. So, ang daming problema talagang ganyan. Ba't ba kami hindi tinatanong ng mga gagawa ng mga laws dito sa ating bansa? Ewan ko kung bakit.
Doktora, kaya ba i-therapy yun?
Yung alin?
I-rehab? Vagina-phobic? Yung mga ganon?
Ay, oo, intense ang ko doon, mga sessions ko sa kanila kasi deeply rooted in their psyche.
Pero kaya i-reverse?
Well, my batting average is wala namang hindi nagiging eventually coital ang marriage. Eh? Kasi maraming relasyon na wala talagang coitus eh.
May ganun pala?
Oo. So yung halimbawa, yung sasabihin mong napaka-faithful ng husband mo, hindi talaga siya din interesado sa ibang babae.
So yung mga na-successfully na rehab mo?
Mas maganda na lang yung kung minsan nag-cheat yung husband mo kasi at least gusto niya babae rin.
Wag lang sa lalaki.
Ewan ko sa inyo.
Doktora, pag yung nahirehab mo na gano'n, di tuwang-tuwa yung misis.
Ha? Ano? Hello?
Pag nare-rehab mo, di tuwang-tuwa yung mga wives.
Kasi mahal nila talaga yung lalaki din.
Ayaw nila iwan.
Otherwise, ang dali-dala namang iwan kung wala ka namang what for, right? I mean, why should you be having problems? Hindi, the fact na nagkukonsulta sa akin, siguro naman may pagmamahal pa sila sa isa't isa, di ba? Ang dali
Buhay
namang
ka,
umalis
doktora.
na. Dali na lamang umalis na lang di ba? Oh my
Oo nga.
goodness.
Kaya nga. So, ibig sabihin marami kang na-save na marriage, relationships,
Well,
napasaya mo ang mga
Well, I
katawan
should
ng mga
hope
tao.
so. I should hope so kasi I would like to think that my specialty is a happy one. You know, I don't dwell too much on diseases of the body, you know. So I would still love to be a therapist until I drop dead. I don't need to touch my patient. So paki-anunsyo lang dyan na pwede na ako online ng consultation online.
Okay, so announcing everybody, whether you have sexual problems or not, it would do you well to consult with Doctora. First of all, if you're having the most fantastic sex episode of your life right now, you can still enhance it, okay? Wouldn't that be so amazing? So,
Yes,
and for
that would
those,
be,
and for
it
those
would
that
be-
have problems, then it's high time you consult Doctora.
it would be such a happy world, isn't it? Is if everybody is sexual.
Exactly. You cannot be rich enough, sexy enough, or have sex enough. Right, Doctora?
Oh yes, yes.
Doktora, may
The
tanong.
last one.
May tanong. My partner wants to have anal sex. Should
Oh.
I give in? What's your opinion on that? Yeah.
Oh, that's some kind of murky spot. All right. There's a lot of questions that need to be asked around that area. Because most of the time, women who agree to that are just so they can give satisfaction to their husbands or sexual partners, but they themselves are miserable.
Hindi pleasurable.
The woman kasi is not really geared towards anal sex. Diba?
So it's not pleasurable
It's not pleasurable for the woman.
Okay.
Yes. For the man who wants that, then there are several questions that need to be clarified.
Although meron din akong pasyente na black patient, ha? Sabi niya, once matry mo daw, hindi ka na daw babalik.
Once you
Sabi
go
ko,
black,
Once you go black, you never go back.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she's a black woman and she finds so much pleasure in anal sex.
Oh, you're saying she cannot she likes anal.
She likes.
Oh,
She
okay.
likes. So, well, ewan ko ba, is that a matter na masasanay ka or you just have different sex buttons that's up your ass or something?
Well, no. Ang problema kasi sa mga tao, kala nila yun lang. So if the man stimulates her clitoris while doing the anal penetration, then it blurs whatever is in the anal area, the orgasmic, clitoral or vulvar orgasm makes the woman almost numb to pain or displeasure or whatever. You know, orgasm is still, of course, an immensely, almost mind-blowing experience.
Okay. So in relation to that, Doctora, there's a question: how long should foreplay last?
Oh my
Before the
God!
actual-
Why should you be counting the minutes? It
So
can
the
be
longer,
only.
the better.
It can be only. No. The foreplay does not have to be long if the woman is desirous of you. But if she is not, yung nagkukunwari lamang, baka mag-last ng isang araw, hindi pa siya nagkakaroon ng Hindi pa siya na-turn on. So you better stop thinking. You better start thinking, teka muna, hindi kaya, wala yatang gusto to sa akin, ha? O, di ba? Ang tagal naman na foreplay yon, di ba? Pero kung hot na hot ang woman, aba, hindi kailangang matagal ang foreplay.
Talking about pagkukunwari, Doktora, women are said to fake their orgasms. Diba? Does that happen a lot of times?
Oh my God, that happens quite a lot. Quite a lot.
What is the motivation behind that? Ay, na-mute si Doktora. Teka. Mikey. Teka, Doktora, naka-mute kayo. We cannot hear you. Mike, can you unmute Doktora?
I can't unmute her from
You
here.
cannot. Doktora,
You
you
have
have
to
to press.
unmute yourself. There.
Unmute
Yeah,
There.
there.
Go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
what was I saying?
Yung about faking orgasms.
Ay, oo. Mag-fake ka na lang kasi ang hirap naman yung you have to bear a very unpleasant situation kasi hindi ka talaga turned on. So, i-fake mo na lang para matapos na, di ba?
So okay yun, Doktora. Psychologically okay yun.
Okay.
O, di ba? Kesa naman sa maging ano ka, yung parang ginagamit ka lang, ay, wag na lang.
Actually, it
mo na
serves
lang.
all purposes, no? It makes you
Hindi
stop
naman-
the pain na, and then also psychologically, it already appeases the partner na okay na.
Oo, para matapos na siya, di ba?
Okay.
Kasi magpapatuloy, hindi ka nga turned on eh.
Tama.
O i-offend mo lang yung husband mo. O di sige, mag-fake ka na lang. O
Pero pag parating fake,
bakit wala nagtatanong ng mga lalaki? Diyos mio.
no, actually,
Oh,
Doktora,
talaga.
kami ang moderator, but these
Okay.
are fed to us.
Okay.
Kasi
Yeah.
someone to ask
Oo.
anonymously.
Ang dali-daling i-fake ang mga lalaki kasi hindi naman nila alam mag-orgasm, di ba?
Oo nga. Hindi nila alam i-detect.
Hindi nila
Oo.
ma-detect.
Pagka pinilit mo naman na magka-orgasm ka, baka naman maasar na rin yung husband mo kasi hindi ka
Ang
talaga
tagal.
turned on eh. Hindi ka talaga turned on.
In your experience, Doktora, sa mga pasyente mo, ano daw ang pinaka-best position for the female? What is the best position that they like, that they have signified?
She should be on top.
Oh, okay.
Oo, the helicopter position, that's what the men know. Pero actually, the woman should be on top. So
Yun
that
For the female,
Yeah.
that's the most
Yes.
satisfying.
so that she's in control and she can seek out her own orgasm
Okay.
and her partner. It's a very pleasant position for the woman. Kasi yung missionary position, it's never pleasant for the woman kasi hindi ka makahinga.
Suffocate.
Masuffocate tapos hindi ka pa natuwa. Baka baka ma-hospital ka pa or something.
Lalo na kung mataba, no?
Wag na I would the missionary position was recommended para daw nung mga misyonaryo para magkaroon ka ng anak, 'di ba? Not
Okay.
for pleasure kasi walang concept na sex for pleasure noon eh.
Okay.
So, kawawa mga babae talaga. So, biro mo dadaganan ka na, hindi ka pa magkakaroon ng orgasm. My God, what misery.
Doktora, kabaliktaran, sa lalaki, ano ang pinakamasarap daw?
Na position?
Yes.
Ang
For the
mga
male, what do they always say that they like the most?
Of course, they like yung missionary.
Missionary.
Kasi naka sila eh. Parang supreme sila. Hindi naman nila alam na hindi naman nila pleasure yung woman nila.
Oh, okay.
Oo.
But
So,
between...
ang magandang lalaki, Ang magandang lalaki ay yung gusto niyang ma-pleasure yung kanyang woman. Hindi yung sa kanya lang kasi sandali lang yun eh. Minuto lang tapos na siya. Paano naman yung babae?
Okay. Pero sa lalaki, anong pinaka-okay? Like you said, the best for them is missionary. Compared to oral sex, like a blowjob, what do they prefer? Like it's their birthday, what would you give them?
No. A woman is not also geared for fellatio. Kasi
Okay.
the teeth come in the way. So siguro mas gusto nila yung walang ipin na babae.
Oh my God.
Tumatawa kayo pero ang mga lalaki kasi, you know why they want the blowjob? Kasi yung mouth is more parang mas may mga kung ano-anong friction diyan. Kasi yung vagina, lalo na kung ano na, medyo nakapanganak ka na, you know, things like that. Parang hindi na nila ma-feel yung vagina. That's why they prefer the blowjob. Lalo na kung maliit yung kanilang phallus. Diba? Mahirap i-insinuate yun eh. Mahirap insinuate into the vagina ang
So size matters, doktora.
Oo.
Size matters.
Oo nga. Oo nga naman. Oo, siyempre, wag namang infantile.
Oo. Tsaka
Hindi
kailangan match yung
yung
vaginal
tumescence.
diameter.
Yung tumescence ang importante. And of course, marunong siyang magromansa, di ba? Maski naman napaka well-endowed niya, kung napaka-lousy naman niya talaga, eh hindi rin po pwede, di ba?
So it's not just the size of the boat, but the motion of the ocean.
And the tumescence is napaka-importante rin, ha? Kasi
What's tumescence,
Yung
Doctora?
hardness.
Can you use it in okay.
Yung
layman's terms.
hardness.
Okay.
yeah, you don't want a flaccid one, maski malaki kung flaccid,
Oo
hindi rin
nga.
maganda. Kaya nga, ang dami-dami hindi alam talaga ng mga tao. I don't know why not too many want to listen to what I have to say. Kasi, syempre, clinical ang ano natin dyan, experience natin, di ba? Not
Right.
statistics.
Doktora.
Okay, Doktora, maiba naman tayo. May question dito. Siguro May December affair to. How big an age gap is acceptable between an older man and a younger woman? Yun muna. Older man and a younger woman. Ano ang maximum age gap?
It's not the age again, no? Hindi talaga sila, ang bagay na old man tsaka young girl is yung old man hindi na masyadong sexual physically, di ba? So ang kailangan niyang babae na young ay yung walang kaalam-alam sa sex. So bagay sila magkasama.
Eh yung baliktad
Sir.
naman.
Baliktad
Oh,
naman.
Older
Older woman,
younger man.
younger man. Yeah. What is there like an age gap ba na maximum hindi pwedeng lumampas? 20 years, 30 years?
Oh my God. Actually, naturally, mas maganda na mas bata yung lalaki kaysa sa babae.
Agree.
Oo. Kasi para mag-match ng konti yung kanilang sexual development. So, if you juxtapose, for example, a 23-year-old male and a 35-year-old female, that's probably the best combination in bed.
Oh, okay.
At lalo
So,
na siguro.
So, hindi maganda kasi yung inaano mo in numbers na yung 10-year gap, 5-year gap, wala naman masyadong significance yung number of years. Sobra
Pero
na.
syempre, kung kunyari 50 plus na year-old woman and then 20-something na male, baka masyado nang malayo yun.
Hindi, tama-tama lang. Kasi
51.
ang 50-year-old woman, okay pa sexually eh.
Oh my God!
Yes. Even a 60-year-old woman, but a 60-year-old man is underperforming na. So that the woman should really have a younger man. Hindi
Oh, di ba?
para mag-match. Agree ako
Ayun
dyan.
Yun ang sabi
Oo.
ko. Oo.
Kaya nga.
Yeah. Kasi
Thank
kung
you,
pareho ng
Doktora.
age-
Thank you for validating our desires. Just kidding. I'm
the
kidding.
fantasies.
Just
Doktora,
kidding, everyone.
may tanong dito sa audience.
May nagtatanong, paano daw ma-enhance ang long-distance relationship?
Yes.
Parang ano lang yan eh. Kuro-kuro, haka-haka lang. I mean, it has to be actualized kasi, no?
Tama.
Ang sex.
So, but they have very creative ways. Like, kunyari, they do cyber sex or whatever. Kasi wala, they cannot do anything. Magkalayo sila eh.
Ay, hanggang doon na lang.
Yun ang gusto nila, di sige. Pero, ewan ko kung maging totoo talaga yan. Madali lang magsalita kung minsan. Madaling, mag-sex something through FaceTime or what. Pero ewan ko, parang it's really not the real thing.
I guess
There's another
ultimately they still have to
bakit
meet
ka
up.
bakit ka pa maglo-long distance kung pwede ka naman makamit ng hindi long
Hindi,
distance?
kunyari, mag-asawa, nag-OFW yung lalaki.
Ay, ewan ko na. Nasa kanila ng decision yan, hindi ba?
So
Hindi.
ibig sabihin, how do they keep the love alive even while there is a way because of the, 'di ba, kailangan magtrabaho? Economic reasons.
Well, there's got to be a price for everything.
Mm-mm.
Mahirap naman magre-recommend ako ng, para maging okay, para magkapaghiwalay kayo, ganito ang gawin nyo. That's not how it goes. There's got to be a price for everything. Hindi pwedeng, okay kayong magkalayo. Basta ganito ang gawin ninyo. Hindi ako makakapag-recommenda ng ganon. Kasi desisyon ninyo. So, you have to be creative to maintain your sexual relationship if that's what you want. But, mahirap na yun eh. Mahirap na teritoryo kasi, well, what happens in life is kung sino ang nandyan sa proximal mo, kung sino ang nandyan na pwede mong i-touch, pwede mong makausap ng harap-harapan. Magkakaroon ng advantage yon, no? Di ba?
Kaya nga maraming mag-asawa na OFW naghihiwalay. Marami.
Kasi hindi nila pina-factor in yung napaka-importante na drive ng man. There are only two drives in men, in humans. The libidinal drive and the aggressive drive. So kung tatanggalin mo yung libidinal drive, parang hindi ka full human. Di ba?
Okay.
Pupunta pa tayo sa mas malalim.
Doktora, may tanong dito. Is it true that women have 5 different orgasms? Ano ba yung mga iba-ibang orgasms ng babae? May ganun ba?
Oh, there's no such thing. There's only one orgasm. It is one ultimate pleasurable sensation.
Baka ang ibig sabihin ng question is there are 5 spots for orgasm, to reach orgasm in a woman?
No.
Baka clitoral, vaginal.
No, there's no such thing as clitoral or vaginal orgasm. Wala namang vaginal orgasm kasi wala namang nerve endings yung vagina na yan eh. It's made for childbirth, not for the pleasure of sex for the woman.
Okay.
It's the vulva or some other parts of her anatomy.
So, iisa lang pala talaga.
Hindi, iisa lang ang orgasm, no?
Okay.
Pero iba-iba kung saan mo makukuha o mararamdaman o makaka-trigger sa'yo. See? Hindi lahat ng babae pare-parehas.
Okay.
Yun ang pinaka-problema kasi hindi alam ng mga kalalakihan yan. Hindi rin alam ng mga babae. So paano yan? So para silang nasa ere, no? Pagdating sa clinic ko, parang magtitinginan pa kaming tatlo. Sabi ko, "O, ano bang gusto nyo? Ano bang kinukonsulta nyo?" Parang hindi nila alam. Parang
They don't know
ganun
what the
parati.
problem. Have you ever encountered, Doctora, that a woman has complained that sex is painful or vigorous, lalo na vigorous sex? They have pain in their private parts.
Oo, masakit din yon kasi wala siyang lubricant, no? Pag may lubricant, hindi naman masakit yan kung talagang hot na hot yung babae. Pero kung wala talaga, dry, my gosh, it can be painful, right, Doktora?
Yes, tama yan. Pag, that's why we elicit if the pain is on initial penetration, usually lack of lubrication yan. If the pain is on deep penetration, pwedeng merong diferensya yung mga pelvic organs ng babae. Pwedeng may endometriosis, may adhesion sa loob, may...
Kung minsan naman, Doktora, wala talaga, pero in pain. So, yung pain
Ayaw.
na yon, wala sa anatomy, wala sa physical.
Oo.
Yan ang mga
Yeah.
nakakarating sa akin, mga
Psychological.
questionable dyspareunia.
Tama. Oo. Pag merong pinaghuhugutan.
Ayaw pala talaga eh.
Ayaw
Masakit
talaga.
talaga. Kung ayaw mo, masakit.
Tama.
Oo nga. Kaya nga, yung mind mo, pag na-turn on ka, maglulubricate ka talaga eh.
That's true.
Always
Ito,
ready.
Doktora, relationship question naman. My wife died of cancer 2 years ago. We had been married for 35 years. I'm 62 years old now and I feel lonely. How and where do I look for a companion? Are dating sites a good ground to search? These are COVID times, so the bars and other social places are still closed.
Gigi, we have audience that cannot understand Filipino.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so
I did not say,
maybe Doctora needs to know that some are
okay.
they cannot understand. Yeah.
Yeah, Doctora, we have foreign
We have people from Germany.
yes,
from,
audience members. So English only
yeah.
daw.
Yes.
Yes.
Pag Tagalog ang tanong ninyo, nagtatagalog. Ako, bakit sa akin yun?
English only, Dr. Becky.
All right.
Okay.
So that's the question. He's very lonely. How does he find a companion now in COVID times? All the social places are closed.
Well,
Wife died.
he doesn't have to find anyone. He can be happy by himself, actually. At 62, dapat hindi na masyado naghahanap ng
No, but some people, they need companions eh.
Well, wala na ako masasabi diyan kundi
He's asking if he can do search in dating sites. Safe
no.
ba?
That's too dangerous actually. Kasi marami rin akong patient. It
Okay.
sometimes become a dangerous thing. So I cannot recommend something that might be dangerous.
Okay.
Kawawa naman siya, baka mamaya makatagpo siya ng scammer. Kawawa siya, lalo siya, hindi lang lonely. Baka ma-psychotic na siya.
Lonely and then poor pa.
Lonely and poor.
Oo nga. So yeah, to answer the gentleman, he need not despair. There are so many women around. So all he needs to do is go on about his life and he will bump onto someone somewhere. So not a problem.
Yeah.
My dad's friend before, when they were in their 65 and older, 70s, he was telling my dad, alam mo, madali makahanap ng mga babae eh. dyan sa supermarket, yung mga cashier dyan, marami dyang lonely din, no? Syempre, ang hinahanap nila yung may pera, no? Basta may pera, madali daw humanap ng babae. Doon daw sa bangko, sa mga
Mga
teller,
teller.
yung mga sa supermarket, no? yung mga the usual random places that you go to.
Pag 60 ka na at lonely ka pa rin, may problema ka. So, you can go into therapy, That's one thing that people never recommend. You don't have to go crazy to see a therapist. The best time to see a therapist is kung may mga konting kusot sa buhay mo. Kasi at 60, you should already be,
Fulfilled. Actualized.
Actualized, already, at ease with life. Something like that. You have to achieve certain things, right? Hindi lang naman sa sex.
Ayan, may tanong, what is the reason behind UTI for women after intercourse and how to prevent?
And how do you prevent? Yes.
Doktora, mas magaling kang sumagot dyan.
Actually, ang UTI ay 90% of the time, the cause is the bacteria that comes from the anus. So, I always tell patients, before you have sex, you better wash up before you have sex, no? And immediately after sexual contact, you have to urinate para hindi yung bacteria hindi umakyat dun sa daanan ng urine. And that's the reason why common yung especially pag nag-anal sex, that's the worst, no? After anal sex, hindi yan pwedeng mag-vaginal penetration. Mayu-UTI talaga yung babae dahil lahat ng bacteria that will trigger, that's the bacteria that will trigger UTI. So,
yeah, Dr. Becky, kasi I asked you that question because I'm always a victim of UTI, even if I follow all those. And eventually, you gave me an answer to it after how many years? You told me to take CRAN-UTI because you said my urine might not be acidic enough.
Correct.
And when I started taking CRAN-UTI, no more.
Wala na. Yeah,
there's still sex life, but no more UTI.
Yeah, there's a substance in the cranberry that prevents the adhesion, that prevents the bacteria from adhering to the bladder walls.
Yeah.
So that's why the cranberry and probiotics also is very good.
Okay.
Dr.
Agnes, there's a question here. I have a girlfriend, but I think I am bisexual. I have never tried it with a man, although I seem to be having a crush on a colleague and he is always flirting with me. Should I give it a try once and for all?
I think so, yes, you should. Otherwise, you will never know.
Explore your sexuality.
Yes. Kasi mahirap. Kasi, I'm trying not to speak in Tagalog. Kasi it's hard to find out when it's already too late.
Right.
Some men have come to me because they are actually homosexuals and they never knew and they're already old. So parang they get really short-ended.
So in fairness to the woman also, you might as well just give it a try. And if that's your thing, you break up with the woman. It's unfair to the woman.
Of course, yes.
There's a question here. This woman is in an unhappy marriage for the last 10 years of their 20 years as husband and wife. She says she has a handsome neighbor across the building who always smiles and waves at me when we chance upon each other in our respective balconies. The girl is about to be annulled from her husband. The guy across the building has managed to give her his cell phone number by sign language, so they were able to communicate, and the guy wants to meet up. Is that okay, even if their marriage is not yet annulled, for her to meet up?
It's really her choice.
morally?
I'm not a priest. I'm not a priestess. I'm not into moralities, no. Pero if you ask my opinion, it's her choice. I'm not saying it's not okay. I'm not saying it's okay.
Gray zone.
It's a personal choice. But when it comes to morality, I have nothing much to say about moralities. Kasi sometimes it runs conflict to what might be healthy for the mind.
I guess if they're both going through annulment, it just means that the husband consents and maybe she should give it a try.
I don't know really. Kasi, there should be other times. There are always times, specific times for everything.
So maybe it's her gut feel.
So why not go through the annulment first before you march a new tune?
Oh, okay.
Mahirap yung ganun yung mga nag-overlap. Baka kaya siguro nagpapaana. I'm against speaking in Tagalog, no? Kasi before I used to be castigated for always speaking English.
Okay.
What I mean is the fact that they are on an annulment basis is, for them to stop for a while and, assess things first before jumping onto another relationship where they're not yet totally done with the other.
So there has to be like a sense. Yeah, go ahead,
like,
Dr. Becky.
more and more like lesbian couples consulting you?
Surprisingly, there are more gay men who are consulting with me. Lesbians, very rare.
Issues? What are their issues?
Issues
when gay men consult you, what are their issues?
It's the same as issues of heterosexuals, actually. The same.
Relationships.
The same. They are hurt. They cheat. They become jealous, etc. All the components of a heterosexual relationship is also their problem.
So the women are less problematic. So the
women are not as frequent in my clinic. That's significantly surprising also. So they're probably more adjusted to it.
More harmonious siguro than heterosexual relationships.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Because I've been seeing in my clinic a rise of lesbian couples wanting to have children or being open about being a lesbian, because like 20 years ago when I started my practice, like I would see only one person like in 2 years who would admit that she was a lesbian, but now it's so common that they tell me, oh, I'm a lesbian, my partner's female. So I'm really getting surprised that there's more and more of them coming out admitting that they're in a lesbian relationship.
Well, it looks like they're probably more adjusted and more happy. There's nothing wrong with that.
Ang nagulat ako, Doctor, is that kasi I'm curious then how these women have sex with other women, parang gusto kong alamin yung dynamics nila. Nagulat ako na in some of the relationships it's one-sided lang. Only one partner gives pleasure to the other, the one who acts like the woman, so the one who acts like the man in the relationship pleasures the woman, but the woman is not expected to pleasure back the male of the two, and they're perfectly fine with that,
Unfair
Yes,
naman.
no, yeah, yes, because if you pleasure the woman in the homosexual relationship, para it turns out that her male part of it
Mm.
gets canceled out.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
Or maybe she derives her pleasure from giving or
Yes.
seeing her partners
Yes.
receive the pleasure. No?
precisely.
Oo.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Doon niya nade-derive yung kanyang satisfaction.
Mhm.
So, Doktora,
Which should be the ideal male. The
Oo,
ideal
di ba?
male.
Ideal male.
If you have
The
that kind of
ideal
man.
male should be pleasuring his woman. Ang
Yes.
problema kasi it's not that way. It's not that way because there's
Yeah.
no sex education that comes from something like this kind of conversation. You know?
Pero personality
It's
rin
like
yan,
it
I
should be
believe.
like a town hall kind of meeting. Na
Pero palagay
ang-
ko, doktora,
ang mag-i-speak.
personality din. Personality, kasi merong givers, merong takers.
yeah,
Di
I
ba?
was just about to
Yung
say.
lalaking giver will give the pleasure. Pero kung
Hindi,
yung lalaking
talagang-
taker, they like,
No,
like
it's
to take.
it's really it makes a woman go insane or crazy if she finds a man who's that way and she loses him. Oh my gosh, that's when they come to me na, wow, suicidal na, talagang wala na. I'm speaking in Tagalog again. I'm discovering that it's really more rich to speak in Tagalog when it comes to emotions.
Mm.
The English language is a bit
Inadequate.
lacking. Yes. It cannot capture
Yes.
certain emotional nuances.
Right.
Yes, actually, I'm actually discovering it right now.
But yeah, Doktora, you were saying that you had patients who used to have partners that were so giving, and then when they lost the partner,
Yes,
the woman
kasi
lost their mind.
prized possession yun, my
Of course.
gosh.
Of
Pag-aagawan niya ng mga kababaihan, sa totoo lang, kesa ng mga kalalakihan na wala talaga, they're not really sexy, They don't know that to be sexy is really still in their capability to give pleasure. Oh my gosh, you cannot find that anywhere. It's like finding a diamond, isn't it?
So true.
Oh my God, if I were a man.
Ayun na nga. That's the thing about what you say that in a lesbian relationship, no?
Yes.
The woman knows how to give pleasure
Yes.
and is happy being pleasured going about it.
Yes. Yeah. Kaya
Yes.
perfect match.
Perfect
eh.
match.
But in the same light, the reason also, I know homosexual men who are able to attract straight men because they know how to pleasure the straight man, because they know how to do the oral, the fellatio, because they know how it feels, because they're males, right? So it even straight men get pleasured by homosexual men.
Do you agree to that, Doktora, that there is an advantage of homosexuals over the women?
Homosexual women or
No,
homosexual men?
homosexual men sometimes have a bigger advantage over the real women when it comes to giving pleasure to the man.
They have
But see, if a heterosexual, if a man is really heterosexual, there is also no way that he gets attracted or satisfied by a homosexual man.
As
If
of
you ask the real heterosexual man, he would rather die than
Then be touched.
be with a gay man. But see, it's because of their mind is wired that way. But if you put them like on a petri dish in a laboratory, perhaps the gay man would actually be in a better position to satisfy the heterosexual man if you remove his psyche, if you remove his mind. See? So
Really?
there are so many combinations in my clinic about such matters, that it's still very important to maintain your mind rather than your sex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't do certain things because it destroys your mind.
Right.
Like heterosexual men would be destroyed if they allow themselves to have sex with another man. See? But again, there's always a but to these things, di ba? Kasi integrated dapat ang human being. That's why precisely, psychiatrists are in a better position to address such matters. Kasi maraming kombinasyon yan. There are so many combinations to it. I'm again speaking in Tagalog. Pardon me.
That's why there's a theory that that straight men who allow themselves to be pleasured by homosexual men are actually homosexual in the first place.
Yes.
That's what Doctor is saying.
Yes.
You wouldn't have that boundary if you were, diba? The Doctora, that's what you're saying. You will always have that boundary if you are
Truly
heterosexual man.
Yeah.
Yes. The moment you lose that, then you become polymorphous. Polymorphous perverse. Meaning,
okay, Doctora, there's a question.
Yeah.
We go back to the issue of weight because that's a lingering question for a lot of us. For those that are overweight, of course, it affects their genital organs, right? So, what is how do they? What is your other solution for them to be able to address this other than losing weight, or is it just the solution is really to lose weight?
Baka naman morbid obesity na. You might be
600
referring...
pounds. 600 pounds.
Morbidly obese yan.
Oh my goodness.
Well, he's here. He's part of our audience, and he asked that question. And he's only 33. My God, lose weight.
Pwede hindi. Yan ang candidate for bariatric surgery.
Sorry, I'm guilty.
Hindi, candidate for bariatric surgery yan.
I've seen so many for surgery. Sometimes they end up feeling depressed. Depression is a very big factor in those operative procedures. So they have to be have to be beings, they have to see psychiatrists at the same time that they're going through this, because it's going to be a very difficult journey for them.
That's part of the that's part of the treatment before undergoing the bariatric surgery. They have psychiatric counseling.
Right. So it's really hard to actualize or negotiate sex physically if that's the case, right? So back to the self first before making commitments with other people.
Tama.
You have to
I think for health reasons, they really need to lose weight so they start feeling and thinking sexy, right?
Well, it's only up to thinking kung minsan na yan kasi mahirap talagang i-negotiate. Diba? Very difficult. Very difficult kasi if women are to be honest, it's Well, you have to have a great feeling of loving that person, and so therefore
To accept.
the sexual part is really not tantamount to the survival of the relationship. So again, we're not talking just about sex. As humans, there are several things to factor in kasi Homo sapiens tayo, hindi naman tayo otherwise, di ba? So, I don't want people also to think that that's the only thing that matters, isn't it? Pero it contributes to a lot of happiness if you are happy sexually.
Okay.
Actually, I had a patient who was born with ambiguous genitalia. Okay? Pero genetically female, pero because merong congenital adrenal hyperplasia, may hypersecretion ng testosterone, no? So, may bigote, no? Raised as a man, no? Pero nakapangasawa pa 2 beses, ha? Pero yung phallus niya ganyan lang kaliit, no? Ganyan lang kaliit, no? Pero
Parang
nakapangasawa
clitoris.
pa. Oh, parang enlarged clitoris actually, no? Pero hindi nawawala ng female partner.
Nagkaanak ba?
Ay, hindi.
Wala.
Wala silang sex sa relationship.
O, nagtatagalog kayo, ha?
Ay,
Yeah.
Doctora, may question here. I know you answered a while ago that we compared oral sex and the traditional sex. There is no comparison, you were saying. But there's a question here. How long should oral sex last?
Oral sex for whom? Kasi,
For the guy,
ang
the
oral-
lasho.
ang
blowjob.
bakit ba gustong-gusto nyo ng blowjob? Mas
Yun ang
maganda
maraming tanong, Doctora. There's a lot of questions here.
Mas maganda yung cunnilingus kasi.
Okay.
Oo.
Mas pleasurable.
For the woman, but for the guy, of course.
Yung blowjob, it's really a job. Come on. There's nothing pleasurable in it for the woman. Magka-lockjaw ka pa.
Obviously, the question is coming from a guy.
But for the guy, it's very
Joke ka.
pleasurable. For the guy, it's very pleasurable to be for the woman to do fellatio on the guy. Diba? Actually, I tell my
Trabahong malaki yun.
pero nga, hindi ba? I tell my patients, it is something a man will go to a prostitute for, no? So I mean, that's how pleasurable it is for them. So I advise the woman they should at least know how to do it, hindi ba?
Diyos, ang hirap namang trabaho yan.
Training lang, doktora, training.
Hindi ba in ancient times merong concubines, merong, kasi the wife cannot actually totally provide for the pleasure of a man sometimes. See? And vice versa. So, ewan ko ang nangyari sa mundo, sa evolution, bakit mas marunong sila nung ancient times?
Oo.
Also, nung ancient times, monogamy was not practiced. That's what you're saying. Okay.
Oo.
We should go
Diba?
back to ancient times.
It makes more sense, no? Even the Muslims know that, diba?
Doctora, you have foreigner patients, right? When you compare all the nationalities, who is the most highly sexual? Is it the Filipino, or how would you rate the Filipino?
Well, baka ako, I might be burnt at stake, if I answer that question. Medyo, baka naman ma-lynch ako. I might be lynched if I answer that question.
But who is the most highly sexualized nationality for you in terms of the male?
Well,
Middle Eastern?
It's hard to base it on my clinical practice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But who's the most romantic? Italians? Not necessarily. If you
think
were
it's still a
shopping, if you were
personality.
shopping for a guy, what nationality would you get? I think that's the
EGG,
question.
it's Arab.
Huh? Arabs, no? Arabs are the most highly sexualized.
Yes, and the most romantic people are from you.
Oh, really? So if you were
Based,
shopping for
based
a
on my
guy,
experience,
oh,
Talaga, the
based
Arab.
on his experience,
the
okay.
Filipinos are ano lang, they think about themselves.
They're more selfish, no?
More
Yes,
so.
yes, City Bear.
They're more selfish. Tama.
All right, so I guess we finished up all the questions, the interesting ones. Thank you so much, Dr. We straddled the whole spectrum, age, weight, cross-gender, positions, and frequency, intensity. I don't know what else we need to ask you. I think you've answered all the questions. Thank you so much. Thank you. Presscon, are you still around?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
has a very early
He had to
radio.
get ready for bed.
Huh? Get ready for bed.
For
Okay.
bed.
All right. So, in behalf of President Conrad Banal, we would like to thank Dr. Agnes Bueno. And we would also like to thank very much the head of our Health Fast, Dr. Jo Sarmiento. Very, very thank you for suggesting Dr. Agnes and then really, like contacting her and everything. Thank you so much, Dr. Jo. Magiging viral tayo nito.
Yeah. Doctora, some of the guests here were your students
Oh,
in UERN. Yeah.
oh, that's nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Gigi, may I say I love Dr. Agnes. I
all
love the
love
way you
her.
speak. I can listen to you the whole day.
And she's
thank
so
you.
sexy,
Thank
diba? So
you.
alluring yung
Exactly.
ano eh.
Oh, well, you still have to be, even if you're old, like me.
You're not old. Where
Have you
can we reach you,
retired from,
Doctora? St. Lucie, Quezon City, no?
You're still
Yes.
teaching, Doctora? You're still
No
teaching?
more. I've retired
retired
from
na.
teaching. I still hold clinics, pero dahil sa pandemic, I haven't been to my clinic since lockdown. Pero I'm starting na on online consultations.
Oo, dapat shift na talaga, no?
Oo nga, kasi I'm totally bored doing nothing na eh.
Oo, that's right. And there's so much to give.
Kaya
There's so
Dr.
much.
Jo, natanggap ko agad kasi
Ah,
I'm not really preoccupied with anything much these days. So I happily accepted your invitation right away. It was such
Yeah. Thank you,
it was
Doctora.
such a pleasure, So
Thank you.
I created that Dr. Wow thing because I had nothing much to do. So yeah, thank you.
Doctora,
Thank you
before
too.
we leave, this is a very, very important question. You were saying, how come the boys don't ask? This is a very important question. And I think that's the question that will end tonight's game. How do you prevent premature ejaculation? How do you prolong, the tumescence you were saying a while ago?
Oh, there are several techniques that the urologist can teach.
Is there something that they can take?
teach you.
Medicine, nutrition?
Premature ejaculation is like some kind of a learning problem. So you can learn how to not go prematurely.
You can control it?
What I usually, it's a learning problem actually.
Okay.
Diba? So ang parati kong sometimes what I say is, you can always have your ejaculation and come back for your second wind because the woman will still be ready and willing to have you. So it's something like that. So you can learn. It's a learning disability actually. Hindi niya na-learn from the very beginning how to prolong it or hold it back.
How about for those with medical issues? Like for instance, if you're diabetic and then you cannot make it stay hard for long.
Oh, yeah. It's very difficult, but Viagra works. Sildenafil works.
How to prolong?
Oh yes. Oh,
and
yes.
how to prevent premature ejaculation.
Yes. Erectile dysfunction yung isa naman is really premature
All right.
ejaculation.
So you're saying that premature ejaculation is not a factor of age.
No.
No.
It gives pleasure both to the man and the woman. And on that note, thank you so much. Thank you to all our guests. Thank you, Dr. Becky. Thank you, Dr. Agnes Bueno. I hope you can come back again
Oh,
and give
Of
this talk
course.
to the bigger Rotary group, like the district governors.
I used to I used to get invited a lot by Rotarians before in the 90s. Popular ako with Rotarians before eh.
Okay.
They love to listen to what I have to say.
And Dr. Becky, I hope we can invite you naman some other time to do the navigation works, okay?
Yep.
Physical navigation works.
Yeah, I'll come up with new material.
Alright. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. And so, on behalf of President Conrad Banal, I call this meeting.
Let's have
to
a
close.
photo op.
Yes.
Okay.
Photo op.
Open your cameras.
Okay. Great. Oh, wait. Okay. Who's gonna take? Okay. Okay, everybody. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, John. John, namimiss ka na daw ni Dr. Jo.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye,
Good
everyone.
evening.
Thank you, Dr. Agnes.
Good night.
Thank you, Dr. Agnes.
Hi, everyone. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for making it.